to the class. The first thing you need to do is you need to go to aplusstudents.com. You need to go to this website, log in over here. Then you need to select math as your subject. This is a grade 8 math lesson. The topic for today is data and graph. Okay, we will be studying graphs and we will be trying. Hi, Job. Welcome to the class. We are studying data and graphs today. And the chapter number, I'll give you the chapter number. The chapter number is 24 and the lesson number is 14. Okay, so the chapter number is 24. The lesson is 14. And the name of the lesson is scatter plots. We will look at the graph of a scatter plot and we'll see how we can find information from the scatter plot. Okay, so let's go to grade 8 math, chapter 24 and lesson number 14. Okay, so let's see what a scatter plot shows us. Okay, before doing anything, I would want to explain something. Okay, I have the question with me. This is the question we have. Before doing this question, let's see. If we have an axis drawn, right? If let's suppose if I draw an axis like this, okay, let's erase part of it. Okay, if we erase part of it, so if this is the axis we have, this is always the y-axis, this is the x-axis. Okay, so we need to see if it's a positive trend or if it's a negative trend. Okay, whenever the line is increasing towards the y, this would always be a positive trend. That means it's increasing, right? Or we can say this line has a positive slope. It's increasing on this side, right? If x is increasing, y is also increasing. But if we need to look at the negative trend, that means the graph is decreasing over here. Okay, as the values of x are increasing, y is decreasing. This is known as a negative trend, or we can also say the line has a negative slope. Okay, so these are the two things we need to remember while we study the scatter plots. Okay, I'll just highlight them so that we have this information and we would be using this direction to find our answers. So the question number 1 says, I'll just change the size. Okay, oh, there is one more thing. No trend. A no trend would mean the line, right? It's a horizontal line. So first, let's see over here for question number 1, what they are asking us, does this scatter plot? Scatter plot is basically random values plotted against the x-axis against the y-axis, right? So we can say over here the coordinates, let's suppose we pick up this coordinate. This would be 40 against 50, right? So this coordinate is 40 against 50 and so on. These random points were plotted on the scatter graph. So what we need to see over here is what is the trend of this graph. So what we do is we draw a line of best fit. A line of a best fit is the line that touches the maximum part, or it passes through maximum dots, right? Or the dots above the line or the dots below the line would be almost equal. So what we can do over here is, if I say this was the line, sorry, I'll draw it again. Why can I not draw? Okay, if I say this was a line over here, it's a supposed line. It doesn't have to be very accurate. Every student can have a different line in scatter plots. What we need to see is, would it be a positive trend or it is a negative trend? What we can see over here is, as the values of x are increasing, the values of y are also increasing, right? That means we can say if x is increasing, then y is also increasing. Whenever it's a positive slope, then we say it is the scatter plot shows a positive trend. We just need to find the positive trend. Okay, we just need to define whether it's a positive trend, a negative trend, or no trend. When the question will come for no trend, then I'll explain it to you. What is a no trend? Okay, do we agree till here, Job? Very simple questions, right? We just look, we make this line is known as a line of best fit. We draw a line of best fit and we see that whatever the trend is, whether it's a positive slope or is it a negative slope. Okay, let's look at another question. In the next question, the question says whether it's a positive trend or a negative trend. We'll look at this. Question number 2. And the question number 2 states that this is the given diagram. And this was the given question, okay? Does this scatter plot show a positive trend, negative trend, or no trend? Question number 2. See, the points are randomly plotted, but they are scattered throughout the grid, right? So if I would draw a line showing a positive plot over here, these points will not be justified, right? The points which are very far away from the lines are not justified, right? So we cannot say it's a positive trend. If I draw a negative trend, so many of the points which are far away are also not justified. They are not following a pattern, right? So we say it cannot be a negative trend either. That means if it's not a positive trend, it's not a negative trend, that means it does not have a pattern. We say no trend or no fixed pattern. Okay, that means all the data that was collected was random data, not based on any particular findings, right? So we cannot have a line of best fit when there is no trend, because the data is scattered throughout the grid. Do we agree on that? Okay. So question number 3, we have another question where we need to find the trend. Question number 3 states that, this is our question number 3, and this is the trend that we have. Is it a negative trend, positive, or no trend? What can we see over here? What kind of a trend it is? What kind of a pattern it is? For this question, we still see that the markings are very random, right? They are not close to each other. So that means it cannot be positive. It cannot see. I'll just redraw it. I'll just try to prove all of them. Okay. I'll draw small shapes and we'll see the pattern. Okay. For the same question, if I wanted to show you a positive trend, and for the same question, if I wanted to show you a negative trend, right? I'll try to prove both of them over here. For a positive trend, if we draw a line that is going towards this part, right? So this line does not touch maximum number of points, and the distance between the points is very far, right? The points over here are away from the line. So this is not, the positive trend is not possible. But if we want to say this is a negative trend, if we draw a line something like this, but still we can see there are points far away from the line. So we cannot use the entire data. That means it's still not a negative trend, right? It cannot be a positive, it cannot be a negative. That means we say there is no trend. No trend means there is no particular format or there is no particular thing that was being followed over here. Everything was just random, okay? So whenever everything is a random, we say there is no particular trend. Okay, moving ahead to the next question. The next question says, question number 4 says, would this trend be a positive trend or a negative trend? Let's see. Can I draw a downward line over here? This, if I draw a downward line, this is not touching maximum number of points, right? But if I draw an upward line, right? So the points are very near to this line, right? All the points are scattered around the line. So what we can say is, whenever the points are scattered near the line and the line is going upwards, we say it is a positive trend. That means if the value of x was increasing, the y is also increasing. Okay. If the value of x is increasing, then the same thing happens to y. Y is also increasing. In a positive trend, both the variables will increase. But in a negative trend, if one variable is increasing, the other variable is decreasing. Okay, is this clear? The next question says, does this scatter plot show a positive, negative, or no trend? Okay, let's just have a look. For question number 5, the question number 5 states this. Okay, just a minute, sorry. If this is our question number 5, let me realign this. Okay, so the question number 5 is asking us whether this shows a positive trend, a negative trend, or no trend, right? So what do we see over here? See, let's compare. If x was 2, y was 9, right? Somewhere near 9. When x was 4, almost, it becomes 4.5 something. That means when X is increasing, the value of Y is decreasing, right? That means when we draw a line, the line would be drawn something like this. The line of best fit, right? That touches or passes through the maximum number of dots. That means if X was increasing, then the value of Y was decreasing, right? So we can say that this scatter graph shows a negative trend. Agreed? Okay. Moving on ahead to the next question. Okay. The next question, we need to see if it's a positive trend, negative trend, or a scatter. We have question number 6. In question number 6, what is given to us is a scatter plot is given to us, and we need to find whether the scatter plot is a positive trend, negative trend, or no trend, right? Let's see. When X was this value, Y was this value, this value, this value, and this value, right? Y had very close 4 values, right? For this value of X. Similarly, if we pick a value over here, this was. So what I'm saying is, which value should we consider? Because for one value of X, there are many values of Y, right? So we cannot say if we draw a line like this, it is this point is very far and this point is very far from the line. It cannot have a positive trend, right? Similarly, can this have a negative trend? Because this is very far and these points are very far from the line. So they cannot be negative trend either, right? That means one variable is not affecting the other variable because these values are scattered throughout the grid. So we say there is no fixed trend, no fixed pattern, right? So we cannot study through this, like what were the sales, what were the profit, or what were the requirements, right? We cannot study through this because all the answers were random answers. Okay. Moving ahead with the next question. Okay, let's see. What does the next question suggest? The next question says, find the trend. If this is the question given to us, and this is the graph that is given to us, right? We need to find a particular trend over here. What we can see is the values are scattered throughout, right? The values are scattered. But what is happening if this was somewhere over here? These are the values, right? If X is increasing, what is happening to the value of Y? Y was higher and eventually Y goes to a lower value, right? So Y is decreasing, right? If X is increasing, then Y is decreasing. So what we can say is, can we see this pattern over here? Some might say that there is no trend. But when we are talking about no trend, the values have to be scattered all around the scatter diagram, right? They would be scattered throughout the scatter diagram. But in this question, what we can see is they're not scattered everywhere on the scatter diagram, but they would be near this, right? They are near the line of best fit. And that means when X was increasing, then Y was decreasing. So we can say that this is a negative trend. Sometimes the answer would be very obvious, but sometimes you would need to study the graph. Okay. Why can't it be an increasing, right? I'll give you an answer for that. Because for this value of x, there's no value over here, right? It cannot be something like this because there is no values over here, no dots over here. So if there are no points over here, that means this is not possible. Okay, I'll just erase this, what I did extra. So we need to see a line that has points very near it. Either this is a negative slope, positive slope, or randomly separated throughout the grid, right? So this means in question number 7, it is a negative trend. That means if one variable is increasing, the other variable is decreasing. Okay, good. Let's try another. What about the trend in this given question? Question number 8. Question number 8 suggests that, okay, I'll just paste it. Okay. And question number 8 is here. So what can we say about question number 8? Anyone? Would anyone like to answer? Job? What can we say about question number 8? What kind of a pattern it is? Is it a positive trend, negative trend, or no trend? What kind of a pattern do we see here? See, if I would want to draw a positive trend, right? What I can do is I can draw a line over here. But do I see the values very near to the line of best fit? The line that I drew is called the line of best fit, right? It touches or it passes through the maximum points, or it's closest to the maximum number of points on either sides. But in this case, they are not very close. The points that are further away, they are very far, right? Very far from this point. So we cannot say that this line would be a positive trend. Let's see the next one. Can this be a negative trend? If we draw a line over here, is this point very near to this? The points are scattered all around, right? So it cannot be a negative trend either. Then what trend should it be? If it's not a positive, not a positive, not a negative, and we see that the points are scattered all around, right? Randomly, they are scattered everywhere. So we say that there is no trend, no fixed format, right? No pattern that is giving us the answer that whether it's increasing or it's decreasing. If we cannot find whether it's increasing or it's decreasing, we just simply say there is no particular trend. Okay, do we agree till here? Thank you. Okay, the next question we have is, they're saying, does this scatter plot has a positive, negative, or no trend? Okay, let's compare. If this is given to us, this was the diagram, and which kind of a trend does it have? Question number 9. Can anyone tell me what kind of a trend this is? Would it be a negative trend or would it be a positive trend, right? 1 minute, please. We did a question in question number 7, right? We said this was a negative trend, right? Why? That because the line is going down, right? But can we say the same thing for this question? Can this be a negative trend? Are the number of points above the line and the number of points below the line close to the line? First condition, they're not close to the line, right? They're very far away from the line. And are the number of points above the line same in quantity as the points below the line? No, they're not, right? This means we say it cannot be a negative. Can it be a scattered? But before doing the scattered, we need to see, can it be a positive? Can I say over here that this line is something like this? If we just draw a sample line, can we say that these points are very close to this line, right? Just a few points are far away and exceptions are always there, right? So we consider the exception. So in generally, what we will say is this is an increasing, right? If that means X was increasing, then Y is also increasing. I'm using an arrow for increase, right? For decrease, I'm using a down arrow. For increase, I'm using an up arrow. So what do we say? Is it a positive, negative, or because it has a positive slope, it's going upwards, we say this is a positive trend scatter plot, right? Do we agree? What we need to do is we need to compare between question number 7 and question number 9, because either of them can be confused, right? In question number 7, what was happening was we could not have an increasing trend, right? If this would have been the increasing trend, then this was missing a lot of values over here. Okay, so we just need to look at what are the possibilities, right? The easiest way to do this question on a piece of paper is don't draw the lines, just keep your ruler on the line, on the dots. Just put your ruler and see which direction would the line go. If it's going downwards, that means it's a negative trend, right? If it's going upwards, it's a positive trend. And if the points are scattered, we simply say no trend. We cannot define the trend over here. Okay? Do we agree? Are there any questions in regard to this? Do we have any questions? If there are any questions, please do ask. If not, then I'll move on to the next question. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the next questions. Let me just copy it. So the question number 10 states that, let me draw. Okay. So the next question we have is this. And question number 10 states that, let me just put it over here. So in question number 10, what kind of a trend do we see over here? Are these scattered points, scatter plot, the points are positive, negative, or no trend? If we draw a positive line, can we say the points on the extreme are near to the line? The example would be, is this point near to this line? No, these points are very far from the line, right? That means it cannot be a positive trend. Let's look at a negative trend. If we draw a line over here, that was, so are these extreme points near to this line? They're not, they're very far. So they do not display any value, right? They do not display any trend for us. Just a minute, please. Okay, that means since the points are randomly placed. There is no particular pattern in it. So when there is no pattern, what do we say? There is no trend. We cannot tell whether X is increasing and Y is increasing. What is the impact of the variable X on variable Y? They both are individuals, right? See, trends would happen, positive trend would happen like a new brand of shoes is there, right? And they're very expensive, but they're very good. So even though they are expensive, the sales are increasing because their quality is good. Or you can do quality against the number of sales. No trend would be someone eating ice cream compared to someone eating a pizza, right? That means the sale of pizza or sale of ice cream are not dependent on each other, right? But in a positive trend, we can say the sale of ketchup is positively compared to the sale of pizza or a burger, right? If they make more burgers, they use more ketchup, right? So whenever one variable is increasing and in comparison, the second variable is increasing, we say it's a positive trend. But when two variables, like you buying a phone and the price of a burger, right? They are not comparable. So they don't follow a trend. So we simply say when two quantities do not affect each other, we say they do not follow a trend. That would create a scatter plot on the diagram, right? Okay, good enough. If we have the understanding till here, let's try something else. Okay, let's try some more questions. I hope you understand. Any questions for now? Till now? Do we have any questions? Okay, no questions. That is good. Thank you. Let's see. The next question we have is question number 11. And the question number 11 states that, does the scatter plot show you a positive trend, negative trend, or no trend? This is question number 11. So what kind of a trend do we see over here? Can I make a positive line? Increasing line? Is this line touching the maximum number of points or the points are near to the line? I don't think so, because these points are very far from the line, right? That means we cannot have a positive trend. Let's try the negative. If we have this line, we just make a line. This line is known as line of best fit. That means we need to draw a line that will be the best fit on this diagram. Sorry. It can pass through the maximum number of points, or it can have equal number of points below the line or equal number of points above the line. Approximate, right? So what we can say is this line suits, right, the negative feasible. So if we can see that this line that is going downwards, right, fits the pattern. So we can say that if X was increasing, then Y was decreasing, right? So what kind of a trend does it have? Does it have a positive, negative, or no trend? Because since it's decreasing, we say this is a negative trend on a scatter plot, right? Okay, good, great. Let's look at another example. So the next question we have is it says, does this scatter plot show a positive, negative, or a no trend? Let's study this. Apologies for muting it. I've got a sore throat, so I just need to mute it for a few seconds sometimes. Okay. Positive trend, negative trend, or no trend? What do we see over here? Do we see a scatter? Do we see the points scattered throughout the diagram? No. They are scattered, but they are mostly in the center. So we cannot see any points on the extremes, right? We don't see any points on the extremes. So it cannot be, since we do not have any points on the extremes, it cannot be no trend. There must be a trend, right? If we draw a line downwards, are all these points very near to the line? I don't think so. They are far away from the line, right? That means they do not show the pattern. We need to find the points that would be very near to our proposed line. But if I would say, if this is the proposed line over here, compared to the other values, we can say that all these points are very close to the proposed line, to our line of best fit, right? So whenever they that means if x was increasing, x was 0, x was 2, x was 4, x 6, 8, 10, right? Similarly, then the value of y was 3, and the value of y comes over here till 7, right? And y is also increasing. When both the variables are increasing, we say that this is a positive trend. That shows that if one quantity is in demand, the other quantity would automatically be in demand, right? Like a phone is there, they change the charger pin. So when they introduce a new phone, then obviously the charger would be sold as well, right? Because that is a particular charger for that new phone, right? Similarly, if they are creating more electric cars, then they would need more lithium batteries, right? So the consumption or production of the lithium batteries, if it is increasing, then the production of the cars is also increasing, or cell phones is also increasing, right? So this, in the scatter plots, we can see that what is the impact of one variable, that is x, on the other variable, that is y, right? So let's try to do some questions from the test. Okay, let's do some questions from the test and see what we understood over here. So if I would just put the heading for test to show that we have, can you people just connect the test also so that we do it together? So the question number 1 we have in the test, it says, what is the trend, positive, negative, or no trend? And this is the first question that we have. They're asking us whether the trend is a positive, negative for this given plot. Question number 1. So what should be the answer? Is it a negative trend or is it a positive trend? We already have question number 12 on the screen, right? The question we did. And through that, we can simply find the answer. If I would say this is going up, that's a positive trend, right? But it's not justifying it. Why? Because the points are very far away. Can it be a scatter or a negative? Can anyone answer? Yes, right. The scatter means the values are scattered throughout the scatter plot, right? So it cannot be a scatter. It cannot be no trend, right? It cannot be positive trend. Let's see, can it be a negative trend? If we bring this line down, we can say that a lot of points are very close to the line, right? So that means this is, yes, this is a negative trend, right? Because when x was increasing, x increased from 0 to 2 to 4, 6, 8, and 10. As x was increasing, then the value of y was decreasing. They are reciprocal of each other. If one variable increases, the other variable decreases. And whenever this happens, we say it is a negative trend. Okay. So eventually I did the first question. Second question is for you people. I would wait for you to answer. Okay. So the question number 2 states that for the given question, find whether it's an increasing or positive trend, negative trend, or no trend. Okay. Let's see what kind of an answer we can have. For this given question, question number 2, we need to find the trend. Can you help me out? I want you people to answer. So what we can see over here is this cannot be scattered, right? Because it is following a trend. The values are very close to each other and they're following a particular direction. So we can simply cancel out that no trend is not an option. Either it could be negative, positive, and these are the only two options, option A and option B, that were given to us, right? Two options only. They're not talking about no trend in this particular question. So what we can say is the pattern increasing or is the pattern decreasing? Job, can I have the answer? What is the pattern for this? Is the pattern increasing or is the pattern decreasing? Yes, right? It is a positive trend, right? That is the correct answer. Why would we say it's a positive? Because this is increasing on this side, right? And the points are very near to the line. So the maximum points are near to the line. So that means it is a positive trend. Thank you. Let's look at question number 3. Let's have a look at another question. There are total 10 questions, would be very simple. You please do complete the remaining questions which would be left after the class for your own practice, okay? So that you would have a better understanding. Okay, let's do question number 3. And what they are saying is, in question number 3, either it could be no trend or it could be a negative trend, right? They canceled out the positive trend option for us. They're literally saying that positive is not possible, negative or no trend, because positive is not even there in the options. So what should be the trend in this question? The trend for this question would be, yes, very right. Yeah, perfectly correct. What should be the pattern over here? Yusuf, what should be the pattern? See, it cannot be negative because we cannot draw a line that is going downwards, right? But we can see that what we can see that is all the points are scattered without a pattern, right? They're randomly placed. Whenever the points, hi Yusuf, can you give me the answer? Which trend is it? Is it a negative trend or is it a no trend? Since the points are randomly generated all over the scatter plot, right? So they are not following a pattern, unlike question number 2 or question number 1. In question number 1, this was negative trend. In this one, this was a positive trend, right? But in this case, we say, since there is no pattern, that means there is no specific trend, right? Thank you for giving the answer. Okay. So this is the entire thing you need to see about scatter plots for now, right? You just need to look at the points and you need to see the pattern of the points. If the points are increasing, it has a positive slope. You say it's a right. You say it's a positive trend. If it's a negative slope, you say it's a negative trend. And if the points are just randomly selected, randomly all over the grid, then you say we cannot find a pattern. That means there is no particular trend, right? Like question number 3, there is no trend that we can understand out of it. Okay. Thank you so much for being there. Please do the remaining questions. Okay, complete the remaining questions for your practice and have a nice day. Take care.